For coming to the McMinnville City Council meeting tonight on May 27, 2025. I will be calling the meeting to order in just a moment, but let's begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I'd like to call Director Jeff Hunsinger up to give the roll, please. To do the pledge, then we'll do the roll. Thank you. Claudia, will you call roll, please?
Councillor Cunningham.
Here.
Councillor Tukolsky.
Present.
Councillor Chenoweth.
Present.
Councillor Geary.
Good evening.
Councillor Payne is absent this evening. Council President Peralta.
Present.
And Mayor Morris.
I believe.
Here.
Oh, good. So Mayor Morris is attending via Zoom, and she's asked me to go ahead and run the meeting this evening for that reason. The next item on our agenda are comments from the community members. Any interested audience members are invited to provide comments, and any comment provided that requires some type of follow-up will be assigned to a city staff member. Anyone may speak on any topic other than a matter in litigation, a land use decision that is or will be in front of the city council, or a matter scheduled for public hearing at some future date. Comments will be limited to 4 minutes per person for a total of 32 minutes. If you're on Zoom and wish to speak, please use the raise your hand feature or chat feature and send a chat to the city recorder team. Once your turn is up, we will announce your name and unmute your mic. Please announce your name and the city you live in for the record. We will start with those who have pre-registered. Claudia, who do we have signed up for public comment?
First, we'll start with Robert Spitz.
Mr. Spitz? Mr. Spitz, are you on Zoom? Okay, perhaps he'll come on later. Can we go to the next person, please, Claudia?
Yes, next we have Tracy Palmer and Ames Beerley.
Welcome. Thank you for
Hi.
coming.
Thank you. Hello, Mayor Morris, Council President Peralta, members of the council. My name is Tracy Palmer, and I'm a resident of McMinnville. Thank you for your time tonight, and honestly, thank you to my wife because she is doing bedtime with 2 kids under 4 so that I can be here tonight. We are back to present you with the 1,229 signatures from our petition, respectfully urging the city of McMinnville to continue its tradition of recognizing June as LGBTQIA+ Pride Month by issuing a formal proclamation and raising the pride flag at City Hall. These actions reflect the city's core values of equity, stewardship, courage, and accountability. And according to the 2022 Yamhill County Community Health Assessment, approximately 5.6% of residents identify as LGBTQIA+.
Mayor Morris recently shared this message with the community. The purpose of proclamations is to recognize, celebrate, or raise awareness of significant events or issues. Historically, the city of McMinnville has observed a select number of annual proclamations. However, the volume of such requests has increased substantially and continues to grow, resulting in higher demands on both meeting time and resources. To ensure fairness and manage this demand effectively, I have made the decision to implement a practice that restricts proclamations, with exceptions only for those that specifically relate to the city or for honoring individuals at my discretion. In response, we submit that LGBTQIA+ Pride Month clearly relates to the city of McMinnville. The city employs queer individuals, serves queer residents, and benefits from queer contributions through business, property, volunteerism, public service, and community leadership. Pride Month is a significant event. It recognizes the full participation of queer individuals in McMinnville's civic and economic life. Being gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, queer, intersex, or asexual, and more is not a political identity, it is a human one. The freedom to live openly and without fear is a reflection of our shared democratic values. Beyond Pride Month, my hope is that McMinnville will continue to recognize its entire community through the tradition of proclamations. We celebrate Pride Month in McMinnville with or without a proclamation. In our celebratory events, in the flags we erect around the city, in our community conversations, in the way we teach our kids about their history, and about the many things we've overcome to be ourselves and form our families. We celebrate it by giving back to our community, just like all McMinnville residents should strive to do. And we hope that the city of McMinnville will be celebrating with us. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today.
That is everyone that signed up.
Okay, is there anybody on Zoom that would like to speak this evening? Going once, going twice? Okay, thank you. Now we're in the presentation section of the agenda, and this evening we are going to have a presentation from the Visit McMinnville's annual presentation from the Chief Executive Officer, Dan Gibson. Dan, calling you to present.
Excuse me, Claudia. The large television's not on down here? Is that something we could correct?
Not working today.
Thank you. Only we had budget.
Wasn't expecting the eagerness to get to talk to me, but it's, you know, it's nice. Some other people could have had things to say too. It would have been okay. Mayor via Zoom in the cloud somewhere. Council President, councilors, I appreciate your time today, and I wanted to thank you for the opportunity to present our business plan and budget going forward for the next fiscal year. And I want to thank our board members that are here today and the staff of Visit McMinnville who are back there. Lee, Ashley, and Lisa, who are doing a spectacular job and help me every single day not look quite as stupid as I could. So let's talk a little bit about our the retreat and sort of the larger idea of what we're trying to do this coming fiscal year at Visit McMinnville. This is our board's retreat and the sort of the lessons we came up through that point. One is the return of a mission values to our mission, vision, and values of guiding principles, and that's functionally the duties of a destination marketing organization. Bring people into the market, market the destination to the most likely travelers, getting them into the city so we can generate additional funds for our work, but also increase the 30% that goes into the city budget. Part of that is adding value and understanding of Visit McMinnville for locals, community cohesion, and having support for the work that we're doing, but also being a part of the larger economic development engine of this community is important to us. We've talked about whether that manifests itself as an annual meeting. We're planning a opportunity to have our PR representation from Portland down to meet with local businesses and how they can be more PR ready to help us tell their stories. This comes up, I would assume, nearly every year, but it's still a very big part of what we need to do, is developing a strategy for marketing McMinnville as a year-round destination. Being out downtown last weekend or this weekend, these are great times for what we're doing as an organization, but we also need to make sure that December, January, February, these months are also strong months for our industry. You see this a little bit with coastal communities in Oregon, is that, you know, they have these wild swings from 90% occupancy down to 20%. That just simply isn't sustainable for the line of business that we're in. We need these businesses to be open as much as possible. We need their staffs to have jobs that are meaningful, that aren't, you know, seasonal in nature. Developing a unified voice for promoting McMinnville. Part of that is just really having this similar language. We have to have an idea as a city of what we talk about when we talk about McMinnville. Like, what is that story? Now, part of that is our input in saying what we believe that is, but that's also what the community agrees on, and then to some extent, it's what the market believes about you. Our organization manages a brand, but the brand is largely decided by the people who come here, by what they find valuable about it and what they're willing to return for. So a little bit of just getting on that same page. Focus marketing campaigns for specific markets, especially and including Seattle, with clear performance indexes and reportable metrics, reporting progress metrics for these efforts regularly. One thing that Visit McMinnville it's important to me is to say, not just what we're spending money on and having the results of saying, okay, well, are people in hotels, but also just having metrics that say, did this specific project work? Is this particular marketing effort working? That's a little bit complicated in this business, but we do need to be looking at whether people who are seeing our ads are coming to our website, whether they're following us on social, as much as we can track it, whether they end up booking rooms. So having clear goals and then what defines success in those spaces is important going forward. The yellow one is more specific to our board, but that's our board timing for more specific projects and issues. Having an activated board that is understanding what we're working on. And then financial stability. At the time, we were, at the time of this meeting in January, we were still, as an organization, in debt, but both into the reserve and our line of credit. I'm happy to report our plan was to get that cleared up by the end of the fiscal year, which would be the end of June. That actually was accomplished in March. So the very first goal was to make sure we weren't paying on debt. The last thing I want to do is have money going into not marketing. And so that was the first thing. And as we get into later, a little bit of our initial goal for this year as well is building up further reserves and then doing more with those reserves to try to generate more money for marketing. Okay.
Oh, wait,
Yes.
when are we allowed to ask questions?
I don't know what the rules are. As far as I'm concerned, you can ask me whenever you like.
Why don't you go ahead and ask your question, Council?
I was surprised, thank you for being here.
Yeah, of
I
course.
was surprised to see that there was a line of credit for Visit McMinnville. How much debt does Visit McMinnville have at this time?
Currently none.
Okay,
Yeah, no. It was about $200,000 when I started the job.
and you since paid that off?
Yeah, we've paid all of that off.
Good job.
And
Nice.
I have zero intent to dip into those. And to partially is to build up the reserves further, so
Yeah.
definitely doesn't become a problem.
That's great, thank you.
Yeah, of course, happy to. That's probably the thing I'm most proud of, so if you want to ask me more questions about that. You can bring it up in another slide, I'll talk about it again, it's no problem. It's $200,000. 200. Okay, so here's the framing of our budget going forward. The actualized budget, the final budget for 2023, 2024 was about $1.3 million. The proposed budget that came up this fiscal year, and when we initially had our presentation last year was $1.35 million. I'm saying that the budget, our plan is based on what last year's actualized number was, the amount of money that actually came in to visit McMinnville last year, $1.297 million. I'm saying that right now we're aligning to that idea. Now, the last thing I really do want to come in here is be like, hey, we're going to do just the same as we did last year. That is not a savvy marketing move. But I will say that it is a really challenging time for tourism. So I want to work off the expectation that we live within this idea of if everything stays the same, we will be outperforming the remainder of the Oregon market. I'll be honest with you right now. So far this year, the Oregon market is down about 0.6, 0.7% as a whole. That's including metropolises, Portland and Bend and some other places. We're up about 3% so far this calendar year. So things are looking okay, but I just want to work off of the idea of being as frugal as possible. And then if things change, then we can prepare for that. One of the things in the contract is that if there's significant change to the amount of the budget, we come back to the council to discuss what we would do with that. So that's framed off of that idea. So speaking of the $200,000, a little bit of that is we've made significant changes to our salary and to our staff. That does not make things easier. It was easier to do the work with a larger number of people, but it was a focus to make sure we paid down that debt and that we have the ability to do as much marketing work as possible in the forthcoming fiscal year. So the projected cost, what would have been the budget for staff at our previous staffing level, would have been about 43% of our budget, $559,000. Projected cost for 25-26 is $448,000. So we've made, as you can see, a pretty significant cut into bringing more of that work into marketing dollars. Just for what it's worth, the average staffing, price of staffing for an organization our size, a destination marketing organization, is around 40%. So we're actually going to be under that for this year. This is pretty wonky, but this is where our existing money is sort of the money that we're more or less committed to. Payroll, 6% of our budget goes to rent and utilities. Something we are examining coming in the forthcoming years is our space the best space for us? We've had some conversations with the chamber about maybe co-locating, working together to have more of a visitor center experience. These things are all on the table. Right now, we're committed to our lease until January. My inclination, this is maybe not even interesting, but my inclination is to try to get that into aligned, so the lease is aligned with our fiscal year rather than the calendar year, so we can make decisions a little more efficiently. Dues and subscriptions are organizational memberships like the Chamber, MDA, Destinations International. Website is what we're currently paying to keep the website on. There's $4,000 of equipment. There's $29,500, which is our expenses for our bookkeeper and our tax preparation. Our PR contract is $60,000. I can talk about that a little bit later. And then our research, which is Blue Room Research, does the data gathering about trends in the industry, but also the performance of our properties in our city. Okay, so that's just as a framing, with a total budget of $1.297 million. The part that's committed that I just talked about is 47.7% of our budget. So let's talk about what's available, right? The remainder portion of that is 52.3% of our budget. Okay. Like I said, I want to be committed to making sure that this organization is financially stable going forward. So right off the bat, we're talking about putting 5% of that total budget into additional reserves. The upside of that is partially that we don't have a situation in which a dip in the market affects us in the same way that had in the past, but also that we can invest that money most likely with local partners without risk to generate more money for our organization. We currently have $140,000 in reserves. If we can get that in the $200,000 range, I think that's just better for our organization as a whole. Okay, so that leaves $554,394. The major portion of that is marketing and public relations. Marketing, we have $200,000 in that specific space, and then $140,000 in public relations. Let's talk about that a little bit. Okay, so a large portion of that this is the least sexy part of this is just digital marketing, right? Is these are the ads you hopefully aren't seeing that people in other markets are. That we're doing follow-ups, digital follow-ups to our print ads, that people are seeing our content on TikTok and Instagram and all these other platforms. The main part of that is building a new website. Our website looks really pretty, but is broken on the inside, like a classic car, possibly, as an analogy. It just doesn't fulfill the sort of tracking and data collection that we need it to do. It is also slipping down the SEO charts, like a once popular song that no one likes anymore. So that's the main thrust of our organization, of our marketing efforts this year, is making sure we have a website that can hold up to the other work that we're doing. $35,000, but that is marketed for social media marketing, and $25,000 for Google advertising. $75,000 that total of the $340,000 is print media and collateral. We want to get a visitor guide going this year. We're most likely working with the folks at the News Register, not to step on they have an existing visitor guide, but to have one that's more focused on McMinnville, working with local partners as much as possible. If somebody's going to let us send them a magazine about our destination, we say yes. I mean, it's a really pretty simple sort of axiom about marketing. It's an opportunity to get into their homes and give them more information that's visual about our destination. We don't get deep into print advertising, but we do want to make sure we do have opportunities to run. We ran an ad in the current Travel Portland visitor guide. If somebody's coming to Portland, we want to make sure they know to come to McMinnville. We have an ad also forthcoming, or that's kind of the next issue of Seattle Met magazine as well. These are not huge buys. We're trying to develop as much value on them as possible. Photo video acquisition is kind of like the biggest, a huge part of what we have to do now. It turns out a lot of our photos are from the pandemic, and they have people with masks on them. And as dashing as Councilperson Geary looks right now, we want to make sure that people see sort of current, up-to-date, mask-free living. So we need to gather more video and photos, both for social but also for the website. Other merchandise, we do run into things where we print stuff to do giveaways, to participate in events. For example, we are making some very snappy, Lee is doing a great job of making some very snappy McMinnville branded air fresheners for cruising McMinnville. We just want to make sure if somebody's coming to town that they experience, that we have them leave with something that has our name on it, if at all possible. Seattle marketing and PR. This is our big non-website effort marketing-wise this year. Seattle is about 25 to 30% of the traffic to our website at any given time, but we haven't done a lot of existing marketing in that space, especially with the market changing. With the tensions about personal budgets and the economy, drive marketing. People will be more inclined to drive to destinations than fly in the forthcoming year. Also, with a little bit of like tension about travel overseas, that means that we do have an opportunity to pull some people in who might have taking a trip to Europe or Asia, that they're going to be more likely to consider a domestic opportunity. So we want to make sure we capture as much of that as possible. That means a media event, meeting with journalists, influencers, content creators, and other people who might tell our story, but also targeted print and digital advertising. So the right customer for McMinnville is going to see McMinnville as much as we can possibly pull off. Public relations efforts is on top of our contract with Field Day PR, who's doing a spectacular job. This is to make sure that when a journalist wants to come to town, that we are able to host them, that they're going to dinner, they're going to events, they're seeing the best that McMinnville has to offer. Sometimes this also can mean content partnerships, which is working with content creators and influencers on their channels. There was a time where you just pitch journalists, but now you pitch a publication, and the publication might do something that's also an ad, but also journalism, I guess. I don't know. It kind of makes my head hurt, but it's a little bit part of the game. And then also other outreach. To be honest, sometimes getting in front of a journalist is sending them a nice jar of jam or something that's related to their interests so that they're thinking about McMinnville. You shouldn't have to necessarily pay journalists to write things, but turns out you kind of do. Contingency funds is $50,000. We want to make sure that as the marketing, as things come up over the next fiscal year, we're prepared to jump on those opportunities. Those might go into existing public relations efforts. It might go into partnership with Travel Oregon or the Willamette Valley Visitors Association. We just want to, it's difficult to block all of this out because it's a long year. That leaves $279,266. Destination development is still a big part of what we're doing. We need to make sure that that outdoor opportunities are still being developed, that we're currently engaged with the owners of the Mac Theater to see if there's availability to get that project moving. It's this continuing effort to make sure that we're also acting sustainably in the market, but also making sure that there are sports opportunities, group sales opportunities, things like that. Event sponsorship and development has been a big deal of what we've been doing. The biggest thing in tourism marketing is why this, why now? It's not enough just to have a great destination. We all have places in our head that we're thinking of traveling, but it's a matter of like, what pushes you over the edge to book that trip, to make that decision? And often that's events. We're reluctant to start events from scratch because that's expensive, risky, and difficult. To be honest, a lot of that has been me calling events that aren't in McMinnville and asking what it takes to get them here. And that's working shockingly well. It turns out sometimes it's just making sure they have access to the right venue, that they have help promoting it. We've already worked with the Portland event, Alt Wine Fest. We're having a small version of it this year, but we'll have the full version in McMinnville next year. We're working with other events to see how we can get a second day of their event to expand it. It's easier to get somebody to come for UFO Fest and stay an additional day than it is to create new events from scratch. That also probably, it's a IPNC, International Pinot Noir, it was one of McMinnville's like grand events. It's a little bit on hiatus. It's a little ambiguous. If we can get that event of that scale back on the ground and running, that would have a value of helping sponsor it on that front. It's a little bit below the bar there, but we have I think I could tell you what the amount. $49,394 in community engagement. We're not unaware of the challenges that the city is going through with its budget. We want to make sure that we're available to pick up some things that fall into the larger tourism space. We're looking at working with MV Advancements on doing some additional street cleaning downtown. We're open to, we have a big push coming for the holiday season, marketing for December. So if that means that we possibly pick up arranging the tree lighting, you know, whether that's flower boxes on Third. We want to make sure that being a part of the community and helping make the community as a whole better is part of our mission as well. It doesn't really work if people here don't like it. This shows the sort of larger scale of the full budget. As you can see, payroll is the largest part still. Marketing and PR falls in second. Everything else sort of falls under 10%. The budget without the staff, and you can see that marketing, well, you can sort of see, it sort of shuffles it back out. Makes it a little bit more balanced of all the things we have going on. Maybe the next slide is bad. I don't even, like, oh, there we go, great. So a little bit is how do we know that any of this is working, right? This is where we're starting with our goals for the next fiscal year, assuming the budget is approved, is developing an economic impact model for Visit McMinnville. Right now, we don't have like an overall gauge of like what our budget turns into in economic development. We can talk about that as the overall amount of what visitors spend in this area, but it's a little more complicated than that. We don't want to take credit for some things that just naturally happen. We want to talk about our influence on events. How many more people came because of our work? How many people came because of our work in Seattle? What is the value of our advertising? What is the value of the earned media we get from PR? So that's in the works. Where I was at Visit Tucson, it was like, we turn $1 into 24. That math just doesn't exist for Visit McMinnville right now. We haven't done the data collection to give that number. I want to the next time I come here to say, this is the framework of what we generate, right? We're not just, it is a net positive. It's geometric, not additive. Launched the new website by October 2025. We're hoping to be a little sooner, but that seems about right. We need to get that going as quickly as possible. We're already sort of in the process. We have a group sales wedding initiative, a brochure and marketing that we're doing. It has not been a great year for weddings in McMinnville. I mean, and we love. I mean, who doesn't want to get married here? But it's an easy way to fill spaces like Stillwater, the Bindery, and our hotels. It is a destination wedding space. It is shocking how many people, when I told them I was moving here, were like, oh, I got married there. And I'm like, you did? Oh, okay, great. People like to get married by wine. Or near it, I guess. We want to increase revenue per available room in December by 5%. Revenue per available room, I'm sure you know, but just as a repeat for anyone in the audience, is revenue per available room. It's how much each room in McMinnville is making each day. So it's the total sum generated divided by the number of days and by the number of rooms. You can adjust rate. I mean, you can play with rate. You can drive rate up, but not fill any rooms. You can drive occupancy up by dropping the rate. You want this sweet spot in the middle, and RevPAR is the best accurate thing of that. Generate $10 million in media value. Since we got back with Field Day PR and have been pushing on the PR front since February to today, we've actually generated $6.2 million in media coverage recently, including a piece that appeared in Wine Enthusiast magazine today. So that's going well. Like I mentioned, we want to drive additional events. I'm considering that additional event days, right? So that can be an existing event that adds a second day or a third day. It can be a new event that takes one of those spaces as well. And then whatever the other thing is that I can't see right now, but I will tell you. Social media engagement, yes. We want to increase social media engagement by 35%. Marketing, the website is difficult because AI has taken over a lot of the space that would traditionally have been website visits. I don't know if you've searched anything lately on Google. Now Google AI just tells you stuff, even about McMinnville. We have to feed that beast, interestingly enough. We get to do Google's work for them, which is not ideal. So website traffic is less of a marker than it used to be, but social media traffic is still something we can largely control. Ashley, who's on our staff, is our social media manager and is doing a spectacular job, so I have no concerns about that. I think that might be it. This is the slide where I put my information, so if anybody wants to reach out to me, you can yell my name into the wind, and I will do my best to respond, but text or email is easier.
Call 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, feel free. That's fine. Yeah, no, it'll probably go through.
Thank you, Dan, for the
Yeah, of course.
presentation. Do any counselors have any questions? We'll start from left to right.
Oh, mine was more of a, you piqued my interest on the air freshener. What does McMinnville smell like? Is it like Greenlands and the dump, or is it like lovely beer and wine?
I know, the options on the smells were limited, I think. What did we land on, Lee? Yeah, it's just
Pine,
sort of.
okay.
Yeah, pine isn't exactly right. We haven't, we'll engage the scientists on that next, but yeah. I don't know what it's under $5. I think I can give you guys air fresheners.
That sounds exciting. Thank you.
Counselor Geary?
Oh, great.
No, thank you for the presentation. Sitting on the board, I hear a lot of this information now, so no questions other than it's been a treat to work with you so far. I look forward to spending more time with you, working on everything, and always enjoy hearing Data Steve go over everything he has. So I don't know if there's any highlights in terms of this. I guess maybe, yeah. So a question would be, recently Data Steve gave us some information around McMinnville specifically in terms of how we're doing compared to the state and how we're doing now compared to how we were at this point last year. I don't know if you remember those off the top of your head, but.
Yeah, for April, we actually outperformed the state quite a bit. So April was a really good month for McMinnville. We were 24% over year over year on occupancy. So April was definitively busier. The rate was a little bit of a problem there. The rate actually went down. But overall, we had the overall revenue for hotels in April was 15% over last year. So it's one of those things we're sort of in the midst. Oh, the mayor has a question. So yeah, it's looking up. And May is obviously a really strong month for us, so it's a little bit harder to move the needle. But it's actually, after some rough months at the beginning of the year, it's looking a little bit more promising. I think in general, people are feeling a little more secure, right? Like it was a little chaotic there for a bit. And so I think people are feeling a little more in the pocket. And I think where our message is getting in front of people too.
And then one more, there's more lodging going in out by Evergreen, is that correct? And would you remember
Yeah,
tell me what that's about?
my understanding is that the groundbreaking is now scheduled for January of 2026 at Evergreen, what will be a Marriott branded property. We also have the Paquette currently in permitting stage, by my understanding, and that's in the Alpine District. So that's 24 rooms at Paquette. It's somewhere in the neighborhood of 100 at AC. Part of that is building a strategy that allows us to make sure those are filled year round, right? We will not have a problem 8 to 10 weekends of the year. That'll be full without much effort. The challenge is making sure that we can support the staff and the business models of those hotels in the tougher months. So that's what we're really trying to build on now, is making sure we build a December that next year people are like, oh, you got to be in McMinnville in December. It's magical. So.
Thank you, very good.
Of course.
And Mayor Morris?
Hi, Dan. Thanks for presenting tonight.
Oh, yeah, my pleasure.
I just wanted to thank you for the collaboration that you do in the community with the Chamber of Commerce, the MDA, and Visit McMinnville, and bringing in citizens. I know the garbage pickup, but other things that you guys are working on. I think that just builds a better community, and I just want to thank you for doing that.
It's honestly my pleasure. It's actually been some of my favorite moments. I don't want to say one of my favorite moments was picking up trash, but the collegial nature of working with Meg and everyone at the MDA and John at the Chamber and the economic development folks as well. It's actually been a real pleasure. John Olson and I were at the Farm Fest at the Yamhill County Historical Society, handing out bracelets, and it's fun to work with people who are committed to the work and to making this, showing people what a great city it is and increasing people's pride for it, I think. I am optimistic about McMinnville, but I think there's still work that we can do to both engage our citizens, people in McMinnville, into McMinnville, but also building up a more robust tourism economy.
Great. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Chenoweth?
I just want to say thank you and put a plug in for Chanterelle flavored as your potential odor for McMinnville. I think that would be a wonderful refreshery.
I think that's solid. Yeah, we'll look into it.
I'd second that.
We'll be big. They'll go all in. Everything will be mushrooms.
Councilor Cunningham?
Yeah, one kind of data question, being that you guys probably keep your finger on the pulse, how are we looking for room reservations for the coming season?
The window is getting smaller, for sure. Like what people were planning further out, I think the economic situation has meant that people are making more last-minute decisions. I talked to a lot of people even at UFO Fest who were like, oh yeah, I booked a last-minute room, right? It's happening tighter. So our reservations are a mixed bag going forward. There are weekends that are really, really good. I will say my tension is a little bit in event spaces. If you look at some of the places that have consistent events, they're not booked out as much, which is a little bit more concerning, which is partially why we've pushed back on making sure wedding group sales, things like that. It's fun to chase, like the Canada group was great, right, where you fill up the entire Atticus and 3rd Street lofts. Some of this work sometimes is just making sure that a family knows that they'll have a great wedding here, that a small business knows that they can have their retreat here, things like that. So we just want to make sure that people have that information as best as possible. It's not ideal. It's going to be a fight all year. I think in similar to the sort of COVID situation, the smarter, more aggressive marketers will win, and we have a great team, and so we'll outperform the market. I believe that.
And we obviously, I believe it's open, the new Evergreen event facility?
Yes. And they've been really good about booking it. We're starting those conversations about what events we can help bring to them there. They're still sort of figuring out what sort of events they want to have, I think, as well. But they've been really good partners about that stuff.
Great. And lastly, the one thing that I didn't hear in your presentation is any partnership, and maybe I missed it, but any partnership with Linfield and any opportunities there?
Yeah, that's a great question. Full disclosure, my wife works in admissions at Linfield, so Linfield success is very interesting to me on a family level as well. But we are working, interestingly enough, with admissions on making sure that parents who are bringing their kids to Linfield for tours and things like that know about the assets we have. It's a little detached. I don't want to speak, I don't have a long history there. I'm optimistic about the new administration there, the new president. John Olson and I are working on getting on his calendar as quickly as possible. We are working with their media studies department to do to fill some of those photo and video needs as well. Cool. So it's been a little bit, it's spotty, I would say. We're working with the wine program on a couple sponsorships and initiatives as well. So it's in progress. I think Linfield's an incredible asset. I think that relationship is still like in a weird liminal space. Like maybe that's just my own perspective of it.
Thank you.
Yeah, my first weekend here, though, my very first thing I did here after the firefighter pancake breakfast was Linfield football game. And it's that and the Timbers are the only things I care about now. The success of tourism in McMinnville, the success of the Portland Timbers and Linfield football, that's it. That's it.
I'm going to go back through the council. Does anybody else have any follow-ups? Seeing none. Dan, thank you so much for.
Of course, my pleasure.
Thanks to your staff for putting together a report. Really appreciate your time.
Yeah, and anytime, of course, you can reach out. I'm happy to answer questions. People have been great about letting me know their concerns in real time, and I'm always happy to help how I can.
One change I'd like to acknowledge to the agenda before we move on to advice and information items is that we are removing item 7B from consideration, which is ordinance 5160 at the request of the chairs of the committee, of the DIAC committee. So that's just one note. With that, I'd like to move into advice and information items. First item on the agenda is reports from councilors on committee and board assignments. I'd like to start with Mayor Morris.
Thank you. So I want to report that I attended the monthly mayor's meeting, and it was hosted by Dayton this month. It's always a good opportunity to speak with other mayors. I met with Lindsay Manfred of Yamhill County Health and Human Services. We discussed certain current sources and resources and programs and talked about some additional ideas to help our homeless population. I spent a day at the Capitol advocating for funds to complete Phase 2B of the bypass. And last week it was Public Works Week, and I attended lunch that joined Water and Light employees and our City Public Works employees together, which was a good time. And then also I just wanted to say on the proclamations, I just want to make it clear that I appreciate Ames speaking and saying what my policy was that I put in January. It's not new. It's not targeted at anybody. It's an across-the-board fairness that it's a lot of time on the city staff and our meetings, as you guys all know, that I'm talking to on the council, our meetings are long. So it's just something that I put in place. It's to be fair. I don't ever want to pick and choose, and I don't want to imply that I've done that. So it's just a across-the-board decision that I have made and will stand by. So thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Let's stick with going left to right. Councilor Tukolsky.
Yeah, thank you, Council President. I did attend the YCOM meeting. I've already talked a bit about the 10% resulting increase instead of the 8% increase that was placed into the budget for our budget meetings last week. One thing that I did want to note was YCOM is having a challenge with their funding source, and they're running behind other cities and other areas that do the exact same work. And so while we pay about $40 per individual within the city to have the services of YCOM, cities like Kaiser are paying about $60 per person. So there's a significant difference at this time. One thing that was noted by the director of YCOM's executive, of YCOM was there are some needed changes in the funding that should be coming forth sooner, probably within the next few years. And the discussion was, not to alarm anybody, upwards of 24% of an increase. So when you're looking at that kind of an increase, it's something that we need to be aware of for our city budget over the next few years, because you're talking, instead of $666,646, you're talking $827,000. So it's not insignificant. So I wanted to make everybody aware of that. Other than that, the budget was pushed through rather swimmingly, and we will be taking that up on our next meeting. So that's it.
Thank you. Councilor Geary.
Nothing really to report. Visit McMinnville. You just heard a better job than I could do. 3rd Street improvement had nothing to report. And then Murac, I think there was a scheduling error on my behalf. I was not able to come. So anybody who did join in on that, if they could give a report, that'd be helpful.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Chenoweth.
So a couple of things. First, I wanted to, although it's not one of my council responsibilities, we did have over in my neck of the woods, over in Ward 1, we did have a fatality this last week, and wanted to ask staff if there is some direction potentially to, that has been a kind of a dangerous intersection, potentially, that we can take some steps to make it a little safer.
I can answer that real briefly. We're still waiting to gather all the information associated with that tragic incident, and we'll be evaluating what we learned from that, and if there are changes that we want to suggest, we can report back on those and give you a plan moving forward.
That would be great. I've had multiple people in that neighborhood reach out to me, so that would be fantastic. Thank you.
In talking with Chief via email today, I would expect it's probably going to be at least a couple of weeks before all the information we have
Understood.
To evaluate is available to us.
Understood. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So McVLC met on the 14th. There were 2 topics on the agenda. The first one was recapping the 80-12? 8212. Thank you. I don't know why my brain froze on that. Grant. Actually, it's right in front of me. I should have read my own screen. So these are some of the high points of what we successfully did through the EVLC. To remind you, the 8212 grant was $750,000 of ARPA money given by, not given, but gathered and handed to us through Ron Noble as an attempt to reach out to businesses in our community. This is what we accomplished. I think this is astounding for and shows what EVLC has been doing. 10 businesses received workforce development assistant grants. 30-plus businesses received grant application training in Spanish. 3 women-owned businesses received 40 to 60 forgivable loans. 14 received business training and completion incentives. 17 received cultural competency training. 108 interns will be trained by September 30th of this year. 1,800 plus businesses received bilingual information about the programs and opportunities. Programs were marketed on social media, in-person presentations, flyers, and mailers. 5 data-driven reports were generated, 1 for Workforce Coordination Action Plan, 1 for a Business Assistance Program grant, a Latinx focus group report, business group focus groups report, and a survey report. A hospitality job fair event and template manual for future events was put together so that can be reproduced going forward. 2 mentorship training manuals were completed. Yamhill Valley Career Job Board was established. 3 paid internship program established and repeat in a way that they can be repeated going forward. Workforce Integration Network Committee was established. All that done with $750,000. The second item on our agenda was Commissioner Johnston. Kit Johnston came and presented to us kind of the similar presentation that we got when we had the joint County Commission MURAC meeting about the properties that are coming up and available for sale. I also did tag into the Chamber of Commerce Government Affairs Committee. I won't give all the details of that since it was predominantly talking about bills that we're waiting to see what actually comes out in the wash of important bills that are going to potentially pass. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Cunningham?
Yeah, thank you, Council President. Thankfully, I did not have very many meetings outside of our budget sessions last week. However, Kyle Dotterman from MCM 11 had some interesting stats he would like me to share with you all. These are YouTube viewership numbers for this month. These are all the recorded and the live streamed meetings. There was a total of 3,667 total viewers for a total of 1,314 hours watched. So that is quite impressive. So, and thank you to MCM 11 for producing all of that material for us. And I do have a historic landmarks committee meeting tomorrow. However, if you would oblige me, I'd like to give a committee update on this last week's committee meeting. Yes, it was a grueling, never-before-experienced budget review for our fair city, and no one got everything they wanted or needed. We all made hard choices and voted in our best conscience. The staff, the committee, and most importantly, the public voiced their concerns and fiercely advocated for their priorities. And I want to commend and thank everyone for their participation. I would also like to thank my fellow councilor, Chris Chenoweth, for kindly guiding me in adhering to Robert's rules. I do have much to learn, and I will be open to that guidance in the future. However, with that being said, I believe I have missed something in my final remarks. If you were to ask any one of my business partners or my employees what it is that I deem my number one resource, that would be my staff. For without them, the well-oiled machine begins to falter, and as it begins to falter, you lose efficiency and parts stop working. Our staff needs and deserves our support. After leading businesses through .com, 9/11, the housing collapse of 2008, and COVID, I understand necessary cuts. But what I learned from that is that in order to survive, you have to show unwavering support to your team. I know what we all went through was hard, and frankly, I hope we never have to experience that again. I implore all of us to do this with a conviction to uphold our oaths, to rise above the now all too common vitriol, and to treat our esteemed colleagues with the respect that they deserve. And at the end of the day, we feel good about the work that we have done here. I appreciate you all, and I want to thank our community and especially send the gratitude for all of our hardworking staff. They are truly our #1 resource. Thank you for obliging me this time.
Thank you for that, Counselor. Now I'd like to go to department head reports. We'd like to start with Director Richards.
Thank you, Council President and Councilors, and thank you, Councilor Cunningham. I will pass your comments on to our teams in the Community Development Department. So a couple of things to report to you tonight. Some not so good and some good, so I'll lead with the not so good so we can end with the good. We are seeing an increase in graffiti in McMinnville. We have a reduction in our code compliance program. We're only 1 FTE. We've run it with 2 FTEs previously. So our graffiti removal program, which we used to support with volunteers, we are not in a position where we can support them right now. So I just want to share with the public, if you find graffiti on your fence, the best thing to do is remove it immediately. That prevents more graffiti from coming. Please send it in to us as well, and we will work to get it removed too, but the best thing is to remove it as quickly as possible. And we are internally talking about how we can prop up some support programs for homeowners, perhaps providing supplies or something like that for them to be able to access supplies and do the removal.
If I may.
Counselor Cunningham is recognized.
The one thing that I would also pass along, because I've had this experience in downtown, the graffiti that's common put on with the what I would say is a paint pen. I can tell you from personal experience that dish soap and a green scrubby does wonders to remove it off of anything that is metal or glass. I cannot speak to wood.
Okay, great. And we're going to put together a sort of public information brochure as well with that type of information too. So thank you for that. The other thing I wanted to visit and let council know about is we are working with Holt Homes on their subdivision plans for the finishing out the West Side Hills subdivision that was originally started by Howard Astor, Barry Hauser, and their team. What that means is right now we are working through their tree removal plan. So before they can do anything out there, they need to have this approved tree removal plan. They are looking at grading the whole hill to be able to create the density there that they need. So it's an R2 zone. We don't allow multifamily. And so there is an interest. So for them to be able to build to the density that's required in the area and that was approved, they are grading the whole hill. It doesn't look great in terms of the tree removal plan. So I want to let you know that we expect that work to be underway sometime in the next month or two. We do expect to get a lot of phone calls about it, and I wanted to give you a heads up for that and let the community know that we are just as aggrieved by it as everyone else. This is a subdivision plan that was approved in 2007, and we didn't have the authority to change that plan as approved. And then lastly, I wanted to let you know that I am partnering with the McMinnville Downtown Association tomorrow night. We're putting together a workshop for business owners in the downtown area to talk about A-frame signs. We've gotten a lot of complaints about A-frame signs in downtown McMinnville in terms of they seem to have become pretty prolific in populating the sidewalks more so in the last couple of years than previously. We have many businesses with multiple ones. We have businesses putting A-frame signs in the ADA curb ramps and creating barriers for accessibility. We historically, the city had an agreement with the McMinnville Downtown Association. We're silent on it in the code, which means we don't say it's allowed, which we interpret as not allowed. But we've had an agreement with the Downtown Association that it would be allowed, and the Downtown Association would manage it. We found that agreement just recently. The Downtown Association doesn't have the staffing and capacity to manage compliance with the A-frame signs. So we're hosting a meeting tomorrow night to talk about it. What's working, what's not working, how should we move forward, what makes the most sense? The first meeting is really to talk about, this is where we're at, these are the complaints we're hearing, and what do downtown businesses want to see moving forward. So it's meant to be an open dialogue with the business community and a productive dialogue. So I invite people to attend that. It's at 5:30 tomorrow night at the First Federal Community Room here on 3rd Street.
Thank you, Director Richards. City Attorney Lightenberg.
Thank you, Council President. I believe some of you are probably at this point aware of the news about the bankruptcy of Fackler Construction. As you know, we have a contract with Fackler Construction for the construction of the Navigation Center. And we have talked about some of our difficulties and issues in closing out that contract, which you are also relatively up to speed on. I just wanted to assure you that some of the information in the newspaper was, by the time that it was read, no longer true. We have paid to Fackler Construction every dollar owed under the contract at this point, so there is no money owed. At least none that makes sense to any of us or that has been made a claim for at this point. All money owed according to the contract has been paid. So that is a very good position to be in. There are some documents we continue to hope and press for, including a number of lien waivers and a number of affidavits regarding things like continued warranties and insurance provisions. As we have been working on those and negotiating those, I don't know where those are going to land with regard to the bankruptcy. I just don't have the information yet. I will keep you apprised as we learn anything.
Thank you. Is that it, Mr. Lightenberg?
That's all I've got.
We have a question from Councilor Tukolsky.
Yes, thank you, Council President. Do you have any idea how much liability we still have with Fackler that is outstanding, the potential that we may owe?
It should be zero.
Should be zero? Okay, so there's nothing hidden that that could crop up.
I don't believe so. That's sort of the reason that I said it that way. People might make claims for any number of reasons. Sometimes you never know where they're coming from. From everything I understand about this contract and the situation, there should be no ongoing liability.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody else have questions for the city attorney? Director Hunsicker.
Yeah, just a couple. Our airport administrator, who is a half-time employee, is going to be retiring or giving retirement another go at least at the end of the fiscal year. And we're going to be posting a new airport manager position here relatively soon that is changing to a full-time airport manager so that the city can have a full-time employee managing that instead of contracting out with an FBO at the airport, which is a kind of an odd situation. And the other quick update I had was some staff found a surcharging sewer manhole on 3rd Street today. The crew got out there. This didn't come above the street level or anything like that. We got it sucked out and the line cleared, but unfortunately there were some backups into some businesses, so we expect to see some plumbing bills coming our way here relatively shortly, but it's a good reminder of why we're approaching the 3rd Street project as a holistic infrastructure project and not just looking at the surface.
Thank you, Director. City Recorder Cisneros.
I have nothing to report.
Thank you. City Manager Towery.
See, the director Henry's on the line too. I don't know if she has a report. If you'd like, you want to go first to her, or you want to finish with her?
Yes, thank you for that. Director Henry?
Sure, thank you. I'm going to start with court. So you all know that we've had the significant court presence of dog-related issues. So our court has been fairly overwhelmed with that. Our court manager has had a lot to do with those cases, not just the one major one, but there have been some other cases as well that have kind of come in on the tails of that, the initial one. So we do have, as I mentioned during the budget sessions, court is behind on some of the admin that has gotten a little further behind during this time period with these dog-related issues. Those are coming to a close as far as our court staff is. At least we're hopeful that the part that our municipal court is playing is coming to an end. We've also had some personnel absences on the family and health side of things. So our staff really is trying really hard to just keep their heads above water. And I just want to give a shout out to our new employee, Alexis. I should get my names right, but she has been doing a fantastic job with court. I've gotten several reports with her just jumping in and into municipal court and having to help run it, just one of two people while they're short-staffed, and it's been amazing. So we are hopeful that what was moved forward in the approved budget will also pass the adopted budget, and we'll be able to get them some help in court. Excuse me. On the finance side of things, as you know, we are buttoning up what we've passed in the budget and moving forward to prepare the adopted budget for all of your review later this month at our public hearing. We also this morning just got our provided by client list from our auditors. So no rest for the weary. We're moving straight into our financial audit of the fiscal year 24-25. So that is starting immediately. We're starting to pull things together, and we will be working with auditors within the next few weeks.
Thank you, Director Henry. City Manager Towery.
Thank you, Council President, Mayor, and members of the council. Briefly, I'm doing some slight double duty tonight. Director Hedges has a family event, so I'll note that the Public Works, or I'm sorry, Parks and Recreation Director posting is live. We're receiving applications. That closes, and we'll be reviewing applications starting on June 8th. And then just a reminder that this is Director Muir's last week as our director. If you want to reach her via her work number or her work email, you've got about 3 days left to do that. It is possible that she'll be back doing some project work with us, but that has yet to be determined. Thank you for your attention tonight.
Thank you, City Manager Towery. Now we will move to our consent agenda. Does any councilor request to have any item removed from the consent agenda and heard at its regular place on the agenda? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second.
That's been moved by Councilor Geary and seconded by Councilor Cunningham. Claudia, can you conduct a roll call?
Councillor Cunningham?
Aye.
Councillor Tukolsky?
Aye.
Councillor Chenoweth?
Aye.
Councillor Geary?
Aye.
And Council President Peralta.
Aye. The consent agenda is passed unanimously. We now move to the ordinances section. We will now consider the second reading of ordinance number 5156. As the City Council may recall, ordinance number 5156 did not have unanimous support at the May 13th meeting, requiring the second reading to be conducted at this meeting. Does any councilor need to declare an actual or potential conflict of interest or recuse themselves regarding the ordinance? I'll now call on Taylor Graybell, Senior Planner, to present any additional information.
Yes, and Council President, I'll be presenting for Taylor tonight. A couple of housekeeping items. There are some amendments, sort of Scribner errors for the ordinance 5156 that's in front of you based on the first reading to the second reading. We revised the title block to remove a 2, TO, between the municipal code and chapter 17.57 landscaping, so that's a Scribner's error. And then we revised the first whereas statement to change trees to landscaping. If you recall, this is part 1 of a 2-part landscaping code amendment, and the trees chapter will be following this particular ordinance that's in front of you. The ordinance in front of you is really about process, so this is one of our efficiencies review in terms of how we staff our committees and staffing efficiencies associated with that. We've been looking at all the committees recently, but we've been looking at the Landscape Review Committee for the past couple of years. It's one of our more intensive committees for staffing, and they're advisory to the planning director in terms of their decision-making process. So we've been working with them, and what this ordinance does is it states that any application that comes in that has responds to the clear and objective standards and criteria in the code will be reviewed administratively, so they will not go to the Landscape Review Committee. And then there's also an opportunity if a developer wants to do something other than what's in the clear and objective standards of the code, so something more discretionary, that will go to the Landscape Review Committee. So that's a decision of the applicant themselves, how they want to respond. We expect this will save us about 200 hours of staff time in a year and $15,000 in savings. And time for the applicants as well.
Thank you, Director Richards. Does any counselor have any question for staff? Unless any member requests otherwise, well, let me just start with that. Does any counselor have any questions for staff? Seeing none. Unless any member requests otherwise, I will ask City Attorney David Leitenberg to read the ordinance by title only.
This is the second reading of ordinance number 5156, an ordinance amending Title 17 zoning of the McMinnville Municipal Code, Chapter 17.57 landscaping, and approving the decision, findings, and conclusionary findings for docket G 2-24.
Thank you, Mr. Leitenberg. Do I have a motion to adopt ordinance number 5156?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Councilor Chenoweth and seconded by Councilor Cunningham. Claudia, can you conduct a roll call vote?
Councillor Cunningham?
Aye.
Councillor Tukolsky?
Aye.
Councillor Chenoweth?
Aye.
Councillor Geary?
Nay.
Council President Peralta?
Aye.
Ordinance number 5156 passes by a vote of 4 ayes and 1 nay.
There being no further business for this evening's meeting, I now adjourn the City Council meeting at 8:07 p.m.